Somewhere in your pocket, sealed inside a chip you will never see and cannot open. Your phone is keeping a secret so well guarded that even the software running the phone cannot read it. It was written there once, during manufacturing, and it is designed never to come back out. And every so often, when a banking app or a payments app wants to be certain it is really talking to a genuine phone and not a clever imitation, it reaches down toward that sealed secret and asks it to sign a short statement. The statement says, "In effect, I am a real device running real software, untouched and unmodified. And here is a signature that no counterfeit could ever produce." This is the story of how a small piece of silicon quietly became the thing that decides whether the rest of the internet is willing to trust the machine in your hand. The question: start with the problem every serious app has and almost nobody notices. When a banking app runs on your phone, it is running on a computer it does not own and cannot look inside. It has no way on its own of knowing whether the phone beneath it is an ordinary untouched handset or something that has been quietly taken apart and rebuilt. Maybe it is a genuine phone. Maybe it is one where the owner has pried open the deepest controls and can now watch and change everything the app does. Maybe it is not a phone at all, but a program pretending to be one, running on a rack in a data center somewhere. The app is a guest in a house it cannot see the walls of, and it has to decide whether that house is safe enough to hand its keys to. Why asking fails? The obvious move is just to ask. Have the app request some details about the device and check that they look right. The trouble is that anything the device says about itself, plain software can simply make up. A program that wants to look like a fresh, untouched phone can report exactly the answers a fresh phone would give, because it controls every word of the reply. Asking a possibly compromised machine to describe its own honesty is like asking a stranger whether you should trust them and taking yes as proof. Every check that lives purely in software can be read, copied, and faked by whoever has enough control of the device. So the question becomes sharper. You need an answer the device cannot forge, even when the person holding it has taken complete control of everything you are able to see. The sealed room, the way out is to build one small part of the phone that even the phone's own owner cannot reach into. Modern devices carry a tiny, isolated piece of hardware, a sealed room walled off from the main system, sometimes its own dedicated chip, sometimes a protected corner of the main processor. Inside that room, at the factory, a unique secret key is planted, and it is arranged so that the key can be used but never extracted. Programs on the phone can ask the sealed room to sign things with that key, but they can never see the key itself, never copy it, never carry it off to another machine. This is the anchor the whole scheme hangs from. Not a promise written in software that anyone could edit, but a physical secret locked in silicon that only genuine hardware possesses and that no amount of tampering on the outside can pull loose. The signed statement. Now the real trick becomes possible. When an app wants proof, it asks the operating system to produce an attestation, and the request travels down into that sealed room. The hardware gathers up a set of facts about the current state of the device. Is the bootloader locked? Meaning the phone will only run the manufacturer's genuine startup software. Is the operating system the real one, unmodified, with its protection still intact? Is this genuine hardware of the kind it claims to be? It packages those facts into a short statement and signs the whole thing with the sealed key. The signature is the crucial part. It means the statement did not come from ordinary software that could be lying. It came from real hardware vouching with a key that cannot be faked that these particular facts are true right now on this particular device. But a signature is only worth as much as your ability to know who made it. So the sealed key does not stand alone. It traces back step by step to the manufacturer. The key inside your phone was itself certified by a higher key belonging to the company that built the chip, and that key in turn connects up to a small number of root keys that the whole system has agreed to trust. It is a chain, each link vouching for the next, ending at a root the app already knows by heart. When the app checks the attestation, it is not just confirming that some hardware signed it. It is following that chain all the way up and confirming that the hardware was blessed at the moment it was made by a manufacturer everyone has agreed to believe. The trust does not come from the phone. It comes from the maker of the phone, reaching forward in time through a key sealed at the factory. The check, so what actually happens in the moment? The app sends its request, the sealed room produces the signed statement, and that statement travels off the device to a server the app controls. There, safely away from any tampering, the signature is examined. Does it follow a valid chain all the way up to a trusted route? Was it produced for this exact request, so it cannot just be an old answer replayed from some real phone? Do the facts inside it, the locked bootloader, the unmodified system, the genuine hardware, all say what a healthy device should say? The server can also check that the signing key has not been reported stolen or revoked, and that the whole statement is fresh rather than recycled, because a proof that was valid yesterday means nothing if it can be captured and replayed forever. Only if every one of those holds does the server conclude that it is talking to a real, untouched phone. The checking is done on a machine the attacker does not control, using facts signed by a chip the attacker cannot forge. And that combination is what makes the whole thing so hard to cheat. When it fails, and when the answer comes back wrong, the app has choices, and this is where the machinery becomes visible to ordinary people. If attestation fails, if the statement will not verify, or the device admits its bootloader is unlocked, or no valid signature appears at all, the app decides the ground beneath it is not safe. Sometimes it simply refuses to run, showing a flat message that the device is not supported. Sometimes it degrades quietly, letting you read your balance but not move money, hiding the features that carry real risk. Sometimes it says nothing and just behaves as though certain doors do not exist. From the inside, it is a clean decision, a signed proof, either checks out or it does not. From the outside, it can feel arbitrary, an app that works perfectly on one phone and flatly declines to open on another that looks, to its owner, entirely fine. What it catches? Step back and see why services reach for this at all. It closes off, in a single stroke, a whole family of tricks that plagued them before. An emulator, a phone faked entirely in software on a server, has no sealed room and no factory key, so it simply cannot produce a signature that traces to a real manufacturer, and it is turned away at the door. A rooted phone, where the owner has opened the deepest controls, has to admit as much in the signed statement, because the very act of unlocking is one of the facts the hardware reports. A tempered app, quietly altered to misbehave, fails the parts of the check that confirm the software is the genuine, unmodified version. One after another, the cheapest and most scalable attacks, the ones that let a single operator pretend to be thousands of clean devices, run straight into a wall they cannot climb, because the thing standing in the way is physical, not a rule written in code they can rewrite. The defenses. So understand the defensive value plainly, because it is real. For a bank, a payment network, or anything guarding money and identity at scale, this is one of the strongest tools they have. The people they most fear are not lone individuals, but industrial operations, farms of fake or automated devices spinning up accounts and draining value by the thousands. A check rooted in hardware, one that demands a signature no software can forge, raises the cost of that kind of attack enormously. The attacker can no longer conjure 1,000 fake phones on a server. Each one has to be, or at least convincingly borrow the identity of, a real, genuine, individually manufactured device, and that is slow and expensive in a way that pure software never was. For the honest majority, this is quiet protection they never see. It is part of why tapping your phone to pay feels safe enough to do without a second thought. The double edge, but it would be dishonest to stop at the reassuring half, because the same mechanism has a much harder face. The machinery that shuts out the fraud farm also shuts out people who have done nothing wrong. Run a custom operating system on your own phone, one you chose for privacy or for freedom, and to the attestation check you look exactly like a threat, because your system is not the manufacturer's blessed one. Own an older device the manufacturer has quietly stopped vouching for, and the same door swings closed. Unlock your own phone because you believe you should be allowed to control the computer you paid for, and app after app may silently decide you are untrustworthy. The check cannot tell the difference between a criminal hiding behind a modified system and an enthusiast who simply wanted to own their device fully. It sees only blessed or not blessed, and it treats the honest outsider and the attacker exactly alike, who holds the keys, and there is a deeper unease underneath all of it about where the trust actually lives. Every link in that chain ends at a root key held by a handful of enormous manufacturers. They decide which devices get a sealed key, which systems count as genuine, which configurations are blessed and which are cast out. That means the answer to a simple question, is this phone allowed to be trusted, is no longer yours to give about your own device. It belongs to the company that made it. The phone is in your hand, you paid for it, and yet the final say over whether it is considered real and trustworthy rests with someone else, reaching in through a key you cannot see and did not choose. Trust in the device has quietly shifted away from the owner and toward the maker, and most people never notice the handover happen at all, what it is really about. So here is the thing to sit with. We tend to imagine our phones as ours, machines we own and command, but attestation reveals a quieter truth that the phone is also a witness carrying a sealed testimony about its own condition that it can be made to give to others on demand, whether or not that serves the person holding it. It is what lets your bank trust the glass in your pocket. And it is also what lets a distant company decide your device is not welcome, using a secret you can never read, anchored to a maker you can never fully audit. The same sealed room that protects you is the one that can lock you out. And once you know it is there, humming quietly under the everyday act of opening an app, you start to see the modern phone for what it partly is, a device that proves itself to everyone but you. If this is the kind of thing you find yourself thinking about, the quiet machinery under the everyday internet, then this channel is your sort of place. There is no product to sell you here. It is just the systems taken apart and explained by someone who has spent a long time on the inside of them. Subscribe and follow the rabbit hole. Next time we are going to follow the small proof of login your browser carries so you do not have to type your password on every single click. It is a little token handed to you the moment you sign in and quietly presented again and again as you move around the site. It feels harmless, almost invisible. But when one of those tokens is stolen, it can walk straight past your password and straight past your two-factor code. Because to the server, it does not look like an intruder at all. It looks exactly like you already signed in.